Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome, everybody. I see you guys have gotten started in the chat box already. Greetings, salutations. Welcome to the live stream. Today, we are going to be sharing actually a result of questions that you guys have sent me. I was on an In Focus panel with Avon now, or New Avon, a couple of weeks ago, I guess last week, Thursday. So thank you guys all for joining me. Thank you for your positive feedback. Thank you guys for your encouragement. So super excited. Thank you to Sharina for subscribing. So you guys sent me a lot of questions and I started to answer them one by one, but then I realized that a lot of the questions were similar. And I said it would be better if I just did a YouTube video. That way I could train you guys and kind of walk you through step by step, because it's just easier sometimes to see and follow along than for me to try to explain through type and text. So today's video is like a subscriber request. So you guys requested it. You wanted to see more on how you can use Google to create forms to do surveys or raffles, or just to collect your contact information. And this is great not just for your customers or for friends and family. Sometimes you want to do something among family and you want their idea, you want to do a poll, or if you're a part of a club, a group, organization, and you want to get contact information, or if you want to do a poll or a giveaway, there are a lot of different ways that you can use Google Forms. And the best part about it, for me at least, is that it's free. So today I'm going to walk you through all of that, and I'm going to show you how I created my on my webpage. So this is the Google form that I have on bossladies.com. So I use this to collect information from potential customers, contacts, and leads. And I'm going to show you how you can create this on social media as well. But before we get to that, we kind of have some housekeeping to do as usual. For those of you who are new, first and foremost, welcome. Thank you for joining and watching. So excited to have you here. For those of you who have been with me through my Tuesday live journey, I so appreciate you joining me. But I'm going to give you guys a chance to get going in the chat box. I want to see your questions. I know you guys have a lot of questions to ask, and I told you bring them. I am prepared. I'm ready to answer all of your questions. So start typing your chat box in the comments box, your chat box. Start typing your questions in the comments box so that I can follow along and see those. And if you are new, let's see a hashtag new. If you're catching the replay, let's see a hashtag replay. If you are, if there's something that a question that you have, as usual, if you guys don't know, you can always email me your questions. So this is my email address, georgianapluslive@bossladies.com. Or even if there's a video that you want me to do, like this video, it's a subscriber request. If you have a video that you want me to walk through, something that you want to see more in detail, go ahead, shoot me an email, georgianapluslive@bossladies.com. I'll be sure to help you out with that. I know sometimes it's too much to type into a chat box during a live stream, and I get that, so that's totally fine. So let's start off with our roll call, our round robin. Milagros, bright and early. She is number one in the chat. Hey Milagros, how are you? Good evening. Madupe is also here. Shout out to Madupe. Brian, thank you for watching. So good to see you here. Nita from the BX. So good to see my fellow New Yorkers here joining me. Nita's always here and always full of energy. Vicky, hi from Syracuse, and she's new. Welcome, Vicky. I hope you find this tutorial helpful, and I'm so glad that you guys can join me here. So Teresa is also in the chat. She says she is new to my channel, but old to Avon. Not old to Avon, just, seasoned. Like soup that's been simmering and gathering all the flavor. So Teresa is just full of Avon flavor. Welcome, Teresa. So glad to have you. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. So for those of you who saw the In Focus, hey, thank you for the subscription, Sky Girl. So glad to have you here. For those of you who saw the In Focus and you saw my my little description of how I gather contact information during this season that we're in, where we're all separated and we're all virtual, I shared with you that I basically transitioned a contact form that I had that I used when I was doing events face to face. And I just basically took that same information and I put it online so that people who were finding me, whether it's through YouTube or my blog or my Facebook page, so that those people can still get connected. And it's been really helpful to me because it allows me to see what people are looking for. I love a poll and a questionnaire because you can really get down to basics. So one of the things that I look for when I'm making a poll or questionnaire, first and foremost, you can alter these. I'm going to show you tonight not how I did mine exactly, but I'm going to give you the basics so that, I'm going to show you mine so you'll see it and you'll be able to do it exactly. But I want to show you the basics because you can use these for different things. For example, on my website, I actually have a couple of different polls. As I mentioned, this is the subscribe poll that I have. But I also have on my main blog, at the bottom of the blog, there is a, if I can get there, there's also a, whoops, it looks so different when it's mini. All right, hop on over to my blog. At the bottom, there's a tiny little contact request. So this is a smaller version of that larger blog page. So you can create a variety of blogs to suit your needs, whether they're big or small. But the key things that you want to look for when you're creating a form, first and foremost, first and last name, and then some type of communication. I like to ask for a phone number and an email address because some people don't want to be contacted by email. Some people just want to be contacted by phone, and that's totally fine too. Ireland, welcome. So good to see you. So I'll also ask how they like to be contacted so that I know the best way to contact them, because my preferred way of contacting people isn't necessarily their preferred way of contacting people. So you'll see here on my survey, I asked them what language they like to be contacted in so that I can respond to their questions in the way in which they prefer to get an answer. And then I start the survey. So I like to know what their interests are. Are they interested in earning extra money, or are they interested in fundraisers? Because I get people who are interested in both, and I try to, from the survey, try to narrow it down so I know what group they're in so I can respond with the proper information. And then I ask them how they want to be contacted. Email, mail, both email or mail, or if they don't want to be contacted at all. This last one, I think, is something that's really important because in our profession, well, in my profession, I don't want to step on the toes of anyone else. I want to respect the relationships that people have already built with their representatives. So I always just ask if they're already being serviced by a representative. I used to do this when I was doing events, and I converted it online as well because they might have a question. I do these live streams and I let everyone know that they can reach out to me, but I also want people to know that they can feel comfortable where if somebody reaches out to me, I'm not going to poach their person. I'll answer, and if you have a rep, by all means, continue shopping with that person. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. But if you don't have a rep, that's where I would love to step in and service you. So I always just put that question at the end of my surveys just so that I can know, again, how to follow up with that person. If they tell me at that point that they already have a rep, then I know that I'm not going to do any future follow-up by phone or email or anything. That person, in my mind, already belongs to another person, and I try to respect that. So the next thing that I have on my survey is the last thing, which is the reference name. This is a survey that I also share with my teammates when we're out in the field. So if we're doing it, when we used to do events live, I would put up this website link on our table so that anybody coming to the table could go to the link, type in their information, and fill out the survey to be added to our address book. Sometimes, and this is a good problem, sometimes we just did not have enough clipboards for the number of people that were coming to talk to us, so it was just helpful to have the website there. But I didn't want the representatives that I was working with to feel like I was getting all the contacts that they had worked so hard to gather for that day. So that little reference name at that moment, when we were live, served as a way so that if a member of my team spoke to another person, they would put their name as the reference, so that at the end of the day, when we were dividing up all the contacts, I knew which leads, which contacts belong to what representative, and it would get divided individually. So even if we were doing a large event with multiple teammates and they're all using the website, then they can still, they still were able to be comfortable that knowing that the people that they talked to and led through the survey would continue to be their customers or their leads or their future teammates, and there wasn't any butting heads, and that allowed us to play together in a much nicer atmosphere. Now, while we're online, this has served multiple purposes, because people will type in there if they've seen me on Facebook, if they saw me on YouTube, or if a customer that I had referred them to me. So they might say, somebody who's already your customer, Georgie, my mom, my aunt, my sister, they said that if I needed Avon products, I can get it from you. So they would put in the name of that person. So I get a couple of different entries here, so that I can know where my contacts, where my leads are coming from. It's been a huge help because it kind of helps you gauge where you're getting information from. And that's been huge for me. So let me just do a quick check-in on our chat box. I see you guys doing the shout outs from your locations. I love it. Wow, all the way from Detroit. I know we have some Florida. Vicky is watching from our In Focus piece. Oh, thank you, Nita. You're amazing. North Miami Beach. Wow, Ireland, Florida. The Floridians are in the house. Love it. Milagros says Zoom. That's another meeting platform that we can meet on. Chicago. Awesome. All right. So I think I'm caught up with the chat. So let me continue with the training. So again, if you have questions, let me know and I'll be more than happy to answer that. So first and foremost, the place where many of you are going to be starting from is probably going to be, I'm just going to expand this a little bit, probably going to be Google. So the first thing you're going to do, and I suggested earlier that you guys sort of create a Google account in the beginning so that you can follow along, because you really do need a Google account if you're going to be able, if you're intending to follow along. So first and foremost, start off with Google. And from there, you're going to see up here, there's a little grid, a 6x6 grid. Click on that grid and scroll down. It's going to look different for everybody, but you're going to see this link here, which is a little purple link that says Forms. Go ahead and click that, and it'll bring you to basically into your Google Drive, which is separated into all of these different categories. So you have Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Forms. So when you click out include Google Forms, click Create New Form, and you're going to be given a blank option like this. You can start here and you can name your form whatever you want. So today I'm going to name it Test Survey. And you guys can let me know in the chat box, what are some of the things that you would like to see in your survey? This is an open forum, so share your ideas, and you never know who you can encourage. So first up, your first question. As I mentioned, I like to separate the first name and I can't type and talk, so be warned. I like to separate the first and last name so that, and you'll see, I'm going to show you why later, but I just like to separate it so that when I turn this into a spreadsheet later on, you can actually see each one of these questions will come up as a column. So keep that in mind when you're creating your questions, because they're going to give you different columns that you can sort in your Excel spreadsheet either. One of the things that I really like to do is click this link here, required, because you don't want people to just fill out your survey without putting in their name, because then you're not going to know what to call them when you follow up, and it's not going to be very helpful. You can combine your first and last name into one and you can say like full name. You could type it in like this, and that way the person knows to type in their first and last name. But the way my spreadsheets are set up, I actually separate, really can't type. I actually separate the names in columns for different reasons. When I'm mailing, I like to have it separated so that if I want to just, either in my emails, if I want to just address them by their first name or by their last name, I have that option too later. So I just created, the first question is first name. So wherever it says questions, that's where you're going to put your names. That's where you're going to put, you can call it your field. So first name, I would say phone number. And there are a couple of cool things that you can do in Google Forms. If you click on this link here, right now it says short answer. But if you click that, you'll see that it could give you a lot of different options. So you can create a drop-down box where you can fill it with different options so that they could select the one that they want. This one gets a little bit complicated on the spreadsheet, so I'm going to stay away from that for now. You can also do check boxes so they can, like I showed you later on, where they can check the option they want. Do they prefer English or Spanish? They can check English or Spanish, and you know, vice versa. Multiple choice if you want to do questions. But these short answer and paragraph are where you want to be if you want to give the person the option to type out different information. So I chose short answer, and you can, in this short answer text area, you can type out, you know, a description like, please put your phone number or something like that. If you click this little 3-dot bullet, you can get these two options. So you can write a description. That description is where you write the what you kind of give instructions for what you want them to put in the field. So you can say like, please, I need to be like Sue in the focus training and voice type while I'm doing this. But you can say like, please do not include dashes, brackets, spaces, you know, if you just want the person to write out their phone number. You can put a little description there, but you can also do this response validation. That's something that I really like because it helps make sure that the person is typing in the proper information. And this is actually something that I learned to do from when we were doing our live field events, because people would, you know, drop a number off on their form. So that would make it hard for you when you're trying to call the person. So you can decide on whether or not they put text, the length of it. So I know for a phone number, there's the 3-digit area code, the 3 digits the first number, and 4 digits at the end. So we're looking for basically 10 digits. So I like to put the minimum character count at 10. So that they can't accidentally forget a number and they can't fill up that space with brackets and dashes and all of that stuff. And then you could put a little description of what you want to pop up when the error comes in. So you could say like, please check phone number. Something like that, anything. So you could do that for phone number. I'm going to add just another field. And as this question, I'm going to change that to email. If I could type. So this allows you to enable the email collection setting. Now the thing with that is that this requires a person to have a Gmail address. I don't want to do that because some people are on AOL and some people are on Yahoo. So I just leave that out. I'm going to make this field required because if not anything, I want to have an email. And then I'm going to do this response validation. So you can set it up so that you can put in a number, different length, different number, regular expression. So I could say it has to contain an @ so that the email comes out properly. You know, so you can customize this to be any way you want. Next, I'm going to set up my first question. So I can say brochure by, not by, but by mail. And I could say option 1 is yes. And I add another option. And I do option 2. Why is it not letting me do it? Oh no, I don't want other. I just want to add an option. So it automatically fills it in no. So I can, you know, I'm asking this question. Do you want brochure by mail? Yes or no? And then you couldn't do that way. So this is basically how you create a form. Any other questions, any questions at all on this to start, let me know. Does everybody follow so far? You can see the form is actually really easy to create. You don't have to worry about, and you can change it as long as you don't change the questions. Once the questionnaire is mapped to a Google Sheet, you can always change it later. You can add in. So let's say you put in their first name and you remember that you forgot to ask them for their second name. You can just add another question at the end. Put in last name, and then you can actually drag it. You can move it up. This 4-grid system allows you to drag up so that you can move and rearrange the order. Maybe you want the email before phone, you could do that as well. So you can play around with the layout until you get it to be what you want. Just really quickly, I didn't really touch on this because it's more aesthetic, not technical, but at the top you'll see that there's some options. This allows you, it's like a little paint board. It allows you to change the color, so you can customize the colors so that your form looks the way that you want. You can also change the fonts to make it look different. And then you can also preview your form. So with the preview, that's something that's important, because when you look at it, you want to be able to see what your form looks like, how it will look when you post it on your social media. So, or on your website or your blog or wherever else. So that allows you to kind of see what the finished product will look like. You can also add in some other stuff. So you can add in pictures, you can add in titles, you can import from other pages, or you can add an entire section. And if you look at my survey on bossladies.com, I have different sections so that my clients aren't overwhelmed. So according to their answers here, let's say they want a brochure by mail. If they say yes, you'll notice that I didn't ask them for their address in these previous questions, but I can set it up so that if they request brochure by mail, then they have to insert another section. So I can say, I can start section number 2, and after this, section number 1, brochure by mail, depending on their answer, I can set it up where it goes to section number 2, or the form gets finished and submitted. So you can play around with the depth of your form, so you can make it multiple layers. And I can show you guys more of that if that's what you want. But I think most of you are probably going to be sticking to a 1-layer survey. I just like the multiple layers so that a person who just wants to submit their email is not bombarded by a bunch of questions about address and phone number and all of that. So that's basically how to create your form. Once your form is created, you can click on these little dots up here next to your profile, and you can do some pretty cool stuff with your link. You can make a copy. I like to make a copy just in case while I'm working on a form, so that if I mess it up, it's not completely messed up. But all of your changes as you go along, you'll see all changes saved in Drive. As you move, all of your changes, your revisions will automatically get saved. So probably don't need to get into script editor. I sometimes do, but we don't have to worry about that. So once you're done, go ahead and click send. You can share this in a couple of different ways. You can email it to a specific person. So if you have someone in mind that, let's say, for example, your company has come out with a brand new product and you want some feedback from your clients, you can use the email, and you could email it to specific people. Change the subject line, add a little message. You can embed the form in the email. Google will automatically do that for you. Or you can set it up so that a link is in the email so that they'll get directed back to this link and enter the form that way. That's great for just getting generic feedback. Let's say you want to know from your teammates what they thought of your service, you know, whatever. You can get creative with that, but you can send it to specific people with an email. You can use this link. So if you want to share this link on your Facebook, your Twitter, you can either use these 2 links here and have it shared automatically, or you can copy this link and you can embed it. So for my Boss Ladies website, I have this subscribe link connected to, well, not this particular subscribe link, but I had an old subscribe link where I just changed the address of the button to direct people to this form. So you see, if I copy this link and paste it, well, that's already the form. If I paste it, you'll see that it takes me to that website. So you can share this. If you could put it on your Instagram in your description, on your YouTube description, on your Facebook page description, or in you know, specific posts. For example, in the In Focus workshop, I said, you know, if I put a post and I want to get feedback, you know, this is the brand new product. If you want to be on the list to receive future products in you know, upcoming campaigns, then click this link, fill out my survey, and I'll, you know how to direct you. This is the link that I essentially would be sharing. You can also shorten it. I like to shorten things because this just looks a lot like one big crazy thing when you're sharing it. But you just click shorten. You don't have to convert it to bit.ly. It'll give you a nice shortened link that's easier to read, looks neater on your Instagram and your Facebook, and it's easier to share. To embed. So what I did to get this mailing list inside of my website was I clicked the embed HTML. So with that, it'll give you some code. So you kind of have to know some coding for this. Some websites are actually easy for you to embed into your blog or your website. But if you click this little link here, it'll give you a code that you can add to your website. You can change the width depending on whether you want it to be wider or skinnier. I think this is probably the standard width, but because my questionnaire is so long, I had to change the height. So I think my height is maybe 12. So you can play with this so that it looks nice on your blog. My personal pet peeve is when there is one of these little, I forgot what you call them, but one of these scroll bars, I guess that's the name, a scroll bar inside of a web page that has another scroll bar. It drives me mad. So I just make sure that my my form has that in there. So that is basically how you create your form. I'm kind of just going to hop back over into the chat box now, so that if you guys have any questions about that first part on actually how to create the form, I can answer them. Next, I'm going to show you how you can take that form and import the information into a spreadsheet so you can use it for other things. But so far, how are we doing on questions? Yeah, Malala girls, great reference. Okay, we're going to come back to this tomorrow, Millie. Wonderful. So, Ireland, did I answer your question on how to put the link to your survey onto YouTube? I hope so. I hope you've got the answer to that now and that you feel comfortable doing that. Awesome. Milagros says she's going to go ahead and create one. All right. So now that you've got your survey, let's go back to Google and I'll show you how to create a spreadsheet to go with this. To be honest with you, it's actually really easy. Just click on responses. And I'm going to ask for some fan participation at this point. I'm going to go ahead and in our comments box, I'm going to drop a link to our questionnaire. And I'm going to ask you guys to go there and type in something. You don't have to use your real first name or your real last name, but I'm going to ask you to click on that link and populate the survey. I'm going to turn off email address because I don't want you to have to put your email, but put something that looks like an email. Click on the link, follow it, answer these questions so that I can have something to populate the spreadsheet so you guys can see that this does work in real time. And I'm going to show you the spreadsheet in a second. So hop on over, click on responses. And right now I don't have any responses, but I do have accepting responses turned on. This is really important because if you turn this off, anytime somebody goes to that form to click, nothing's going to happen. So please make sure that your accepting responses link is, or slider is on so that you can see that. So this little green symbol is basically a link to Google Sheets. And that's where you're going to house all of the names and the responses that you collect in the survey. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Spreadsheet. And I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. And I'm going to call this Test Live Stream, because I'm pretty sure I do have another test. And then it'll create a new spreadsheet for me. If you already have a spreadsheet where you keep your contacts, you can also select an existing spreadsheet. And for example, if you have a list of all your customers, you don't have to feel like you need to create a new spreadsheet. You can definitely add a sheet into that existing spreadsheet and then add these names. So for me, where I have different surveys for my customer list, I have one main existing spreadsheet. And then for all the surveys that I create, I just put, I just add them into that survey, into that spreadsheet. So go ahead, click create, and you'll see here is my spreadsheet. So it gives you a timestamp so you'll know whenever a person fills in your spreadsheet, all of the columns, or these are basically all your questions. Remember I said be mindful of the titles for your questions because those are going to show up later. So here's how they show up as columns. So this is great because now you can sort your questionnaire. So brochure by mail, they have two options, yes or no. I'll then be able to come in here and say, okay, well, let's filter out. You go to filter and I can create a filter and I can turn off all of the people who don't want a brochure so that I know who to contact. I do this when I have that question that says, where are all the people who already have a representative, I'll basically filter out anybody who said that they already have a rep so that I know that I'm not going to reach out to them or contact them or bother them or anything in the future. Oh, good point, Marcia. I do need to make the form public. Good point. Thank you. Let's see. Whoops. That's not what I want. Settings. Yes. Okay. There we go, Marcia. Unlocked. So basically what I did, this little gear icon is the settings. If my email address is attached to a my bossladies.com site. So anything I create is basically restricted to me and my people. So I just had to turn that off. But that little I'll show you where I went to fix that, just in case you have a similar email situation. If your email address is a part of your work email, I won't tell anybody you're doing surveys at work, but just click on the gear icon and turn off this restrict users in. But FYI, this limit to 1 response is also pretty cool when you're doing specific events. And let's say you're doing a giveaway and you only want each person to enter once, or you only want each email to be entered once. You can just click limit to 1 response, and that will limit the number of people who are seeing your survey. So that really comes in handy. I have done events where people thought they can get multiple entries by putting in their same information over and over again. So you just turn off that that option, and that will allow everyone to enter just one time. It'll also help in the case where, let's say, you only want new customers or new clients, and that way you're looking for new email addresses. That's another thing that you could just turn it on and limit it to 1 response so that each person only enters their contact information 1 time. So if you're interested in just growing your contact base, let's say you're running a giveaway for only new subscribers, but you don't want, for example, your existing subscribers to enter multiple times, then you could turn that option off, and you can make sure that only the people who are new are going to be entered into your raffle or giveaway. So great. I see some responses coming in. Thank you, Miss Marcia, for helping out with my little survey. You're welcome, Ireland. Nita says, oh yes, Nita, I unlocked it. Marcia explained what it was, and that should be unlocked now. Great. So let's go in, and you'll see that we're getting some responses. So you guys can see it does work once it's in. And I'm going to show you now. I can close out all of these duplicates. In my spreadsheet, all of those contacts are coming in. I'm just going to delete that. Don't worry, Madupe. I will Photoshop that out later. So you guys can see as people are filling out their survey, their time will be here. So you can say, okay, well, this is a person from my event. Wait, don't use your real emails unless you want them to be public. But you can filter it out so that you can say, okay, well, I did an event last Saturday. So these are contacts, even if they weren't able to fill out the survey at that event, like during the time of your event, you can see, okay, well, if I was at an event from 12 to 2, these are the people who filled out my survey that day while I was at the event. And then you can see, okay, well, these are the people who took my link home and filled it out that evening. So you can kind of gauge where you're getting your contacts from. That's helped me a lot, especially when we're doing multiple events. Or later on, when I'm following up with the person, I could say, oh, you know, we met last Saturday at the such and such an event. It was great having you. Or, oh, you know, I saw you signed up for my survey after my presentation with Avon a couple of weeks ago. So great to have you join the family, you know, and you can go on from there. So that timestamp really helps kind of give you an idea of where the person is coming from. So the other things that I said, you can filter it so that, let's say you want to add these contacts into your Avon address book or your company address book. You can then click this gray box in the top left under the FX symbol, and that will give you the option to create a filter for each column. And you'll find the filter is this little funnel shaped icon under the 3 dots. If it's green, it's on. If it's gray, it's off. So just highlight it and click it so that it turns green. And then you can sort all of these groups. So let's say I only want people who, well, they're all going to be for the 27th, but let's say I only want to see people for a specific date. I could turn off some dates and get rid of those people. I'm going to turn them all back on. Or if you only want people who provided an email address, oops, turn that back off. I want everybody. Let's get everybody. Cooperate. There we go. Now I don't want any blanks. I only want people with a timestamp. So now that everybody's back, I can say, okay, I only want people with emails. So I turn off the blanks. Only the people who submitted their email address will show up. I can then highlight all of those people and import them into my Avon address book. You can copy them onto another spreadsheet. So if you use another email provider and you want to import your email contacts, you can select those and copy them. What I find myself doing oftentimes is I want to phone someone and follow up. So I would then say, okay, well, who didn't give me a phone number? I don't want those people. I want all the people that I can call. So these are the phone numbers. These are the contacts that I know I can call and follow up with. And then, of course, our favorite, who wants to get a brochure from me in the mail? Who wants to get emails from me? Who wants to enter into my giveaway or whatever? I can then filter these contacts, or, you know, who's interested in getting started with their own business. I can filter these contacts to yes or no. You guys are so enthusiastic. I love you all. Everyone said yes, they want one. But I could say, okay, I don't want the people who didn't answer. I don't want the people who said no. I only want the people who said yes. So I can filter it down to those people as well. So this becomes a really powerful tool as your contact list starts to get really big. I'm just going to throw those away just in case. So as your contact list gets really huge, you can filter it down. So for the people who, for example, requested a brochure, I can focus down all the people that want to join my mailing list to get a brochure in the mail. But I can focus it further because now that they've, I didn't show you here, but I'll show you on my, nope, I don't think I can. Maybe I can. Let me see if I can show you the guts of my Google form so that you can see what my form, my mailing list form looks like on multiple levels. So this is my form. As I mentioned, you could decorate it and zhuzh it up. So this is my form, first name, last name, phone number. And you remember I said that I have different sections. So if a person says to me that they only want email, if you click on that option, you do have the option to create different sections. So I have it so that when they say email, they'll jump to section 2. And section 2 is basically just the section that only has an email offer. And then once they fill out their information, the form gets submitted, they're done. But if they say to me that they want both email and mail, they're going to go to section 4. For me, section 4 asks for their whole contact information, street address, city, state, zip code. And as I remember, do you guys remember how I said each one of these sections becomes a column on the spreadsheet? So that means that now when I'm ready to mail, let's say I'm on vacation. I'm in Florida hanging out with Milagros and I want to say, who are the customers that filled out my survey that are in Florida? Maybe I can create an event to reach out to them. I want to mail them a physical invitation to my event, but only those people in Florida, because there's no point in making the people in California mad that they didn't get invited to our event in Florida. They're just gonna be like, what is this? I can't go to an event in Florida anyway. So to narrow it down, I would filter down the columns and say, okay, well, who are the people who are on my mailing list that gave me an address? Because there's also no point in printing a card for a person who didn't give me a mailing address and just gave me an email. So I'll filter it down and say, okay, well, who are the people who gave me an address? All right, list is shorter. Who are the people who are in Florida? Okay, list is even more refined. So then I could take that list and print out labels to slap onto my postcards, so on and so forth. Or I could say, you know, you can create a survey and say to your customers, I want to know what products you guys are interested in. If you are interested in fashion or fragrance or makeup, click each box, you know, click which ones you're interested in, and I could tailor my contacts with you so that you can see all the deals and specials for those specific categories. So now you can go into your list and say, okay, well, where are my fragrance lovers? These are the people I'm going to contact about the new classic fragrance that we're coming out with for the holidays. So you can really use these forms to tailor down your list, do polls, and and really work your customer list or your contact list in that way. If you're, for example, doing this for a church or an organization, you can say, okay, well, who in the congregation or who in our group has children between the ages of 1 and 2? Okay, we're looking for people for our play, or we're looking to start a daycare, or we're looking for people to be on our panel to talk about having kids between a specific age. So you can create a Google form for anything, and you can use it in different ways to, as promotions, as follow-up, or even just relationship building. And I think it's a great tool because it's virtual, that a lot of people can participate in from all over. And it frees up your time, because instead of calling like, hey, do you like fragrance? Okay, no, never mind. We don't have anything for you. I mean, you wouldn't say it like that, but you can really tailor your follow-up and your feedback that way. So great. Just looking at the comments again. Nita says, yes, it works. See, proof. It's in the pudding. It worked. It also would have been quite embarrassing if that did not work. But I wanted you guys to see that it does happen in real time, so that you can know how much of a powerful tool this is. Nita says, I'm making Excel look easy. To be honest with you, it's been through working my business and keeping track of my contacts. I also use this to keep track of my leads. You guys will see, if you look at my form, there's a question that says, if I can find it. Oh, that's the real one. Let's look at the guts of it. I like to ask if people are interested in learning more about the earnings opportunity, earning good income with a business of their own. And that gives me yes or no. So I use this as a way to figure out who out of my contacts are interested in starting their own business, so that I can now follow up with those people about the earnings opportunity. So now when I call them, it's not, hey, how are you doing? It's so nice to meet you. What can I do for you? It's, hey, so nice to meet you. How are you doing? I see that you're interested in new products. I see that you're interested in fundraisers. I saw that you're interested in starting a business of your own. And we can really just dive into what it is that that person is interested in. Or if I call them and I don't get a response, I can also email them. I have email templates, and Avon has some really great email templates in Avon now that you can use. Different companies have different templates that you can use. You can go find a template for each specific item, and then you could forward out that template using your email address. You literally just would, Marcy, I'm going to use your fake email. You come into your spreadsheet, click the email, copy and paste it in your email. If you have multiple emails, you can drag and bring down to highlight multiple different emails, so that you can copy and paste it into your email address. So, there's just a lot of things that you can do with this, and I haven't even scratched the surface on most of it. I'm sure you guys will come up with even more things, and it would be great if you guys could come back in your chat box and say, okay, I took this class and I made a spreadsheet that does this, that, or the other, and kind of just share your ideas so that we can keep this funnel of ideas going. Vicky says, should she be using Google instead of Excel? That is a really great question, Vicky. My answer is probably not going to help you because I actually use both. But I will give you the pros and cons, some of the pros and cons of each. Excel is more robust than Google Sheets. Google Sheets is really catching up over the last 2 or 3 years. But you'll find more features in Excel. The program, I find that when companies build an app to do a specific thing, and Microsoft has been doing Excel for years, so they have experience in creating Excel sheets. So Excel, if you have a lot of heavy calculations, a lot of complicated stuff, Excel would be the way to go. Google Sheets, I think, is more user-friendly. So if you're a beginner, Google Sheets will probably be easier for you to use. It basically just has the basic stuff. So for this, it's just a matter of gathering the names of your contacts. Google Sheets will be fine. But I did say that I use both, and I'll tell you, I use Excel to track my customer orders, because I do keep a list of my customers. Like I said, I keep my contacts for my customers. I keep my leads. I keep a list for my teammates. I have a lot of lists. I love spreadsheets. And I love numbers, especially when it's money. But I link my contacts to my orders so I can see which one of my customers placed an order. And then I also have the amounts from their orders show up on another sheet so that I can see how much each customer is spending so that I can reward the top spenders or the most referrals or, you know, whatever. So I use my contacts in that way. For that, I use Excel because, you know, for Excel to check this sheet and this page in this file somewhere else, it kind of just works a little better. But I would say, Vicky, the other reason that I've been moving into Google Sheets more often, I actually even run, first of all, last year, Google started to allow for you to open and edit Excel spreadsheets in Google Sheets. So for me, that's been a lifesaver because prior to quarantine, I was rarely ever home, rarely ever at a computer. I did most of my business through my cell phone. So whether it was team training, customer follow-up, most of it was on my phone. I was on the go. So it was just easy to have something that existed on the cloud so that I can access it at all times. I was finding that the files that I had on Excel, Excel does have a mobile app, but it's not free. So I found that the things that I did have in my Excel spreadsheet, I didn't have access to most of the time. So it was inconvenient for me. So I ended up just moving on to Google Sheets. Side note, Google Drive, if you have a Gmail address, Google gives you like 30 megabytes of free storage. So why not use that up? You know, you can have your spreadsheets. I actually use Google Drive for most of my business files so that I do have access to them when I'm on the road. So Vicky, I hope that answers your question. You'll see, Vicky, that Excel, you can use Excel on a basic level as well, but I would say it's a matter of preference. If you're looking for mobility, definitely lean towards Google Sheets. If you're looking for something that is more robust, you can start in Excel and you can always transfer it into Google Sheets later. So if Vicky, if you've already started with a customer database in Excel, just go to Google Sheets, upload your Excel sheet, and when you click to open it, it'll ask you, do you want to just view this sheet or do you want to edit it in Google Sheets? And you'll just say edit in Google Sheets and you could continue on with that Excel spreadsheet that you already have. No need to feel any pressure to switch. I don't work for Google, so no loyalty here. All right, Vicky, so I hope that answers your question. So for everyone else, Airland says I'm a pro. To be honest, one of the best things that I got out of being my own boss is learning how to, like, the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts of how to run a business, because most of what I'm telling you guys came out of a need. Milagros always says, if you have a need, you'll do what you need to do to get to meet that need. And it's 100% true. You know, I am a stickler for numbers. So whenever I find that I'm looking for something, or, you know, constantly looking for the same thing over and over, or spending time, my problem with the surveys that I used to do by hand was that sometimes we would do events and I would come back with 100 of those forms written in crazy handwriting. First of all, I had to enter them. Second of all, I was finding that, you know, sometimes people's handwriting was so difficult to read and understand. And then I was finding that people, you know, would forget numbers on their phone number, would leave things out on their mailing address. So it really helped me to create a sheet that was digital, because when we do have events where there just weren't enough clipboards to go around, or when people were passing, I could sort of mount my address, my web address, so that a person could go to that link and then fill out the survey. But I also found that it saved me, I would say, hours, like literally days. I would do an event on Saturday and spend the whole next week entering contact information into my spreadsheet. Did I have to enter into a spreadsheet? No, but if I wanted to add them, upload them to my contact list, then I needed to. So I found that creating the survey and using that freed up so much more of my time. So I did it that way. I do still use the clipboard at certain events. There's, it's always great to have a backup. Sometimes there's no Wi-Fi, so you can't do this. Sometimes people at the event don't have a phone, or they're not comfortable with computers. So for them, it's easier to just write it down. Great. Okay. However, I will meet you where you're at. So lately I've been using the clipboard more as a backup. or on one-off, you know, if I'm out in the supermarket and I'm striking up a conversation with someone, I'll pull out my clipboard because they can look at it and see, oh yeah, it's short, it's only 3 questions. Yeah, I'll fill this out. Sometimes when you're just talking to one person in the market, it's harder to say, well, pull out your phone, enter this website. But what I have been doing to mitigate that is having QR codes. So you can say, well, yeah, open your phone. Here's the site. I'll, you know, scan the phone and you'll get the link. Or my favorite lately is, I would say the past year is, well, what's your phone number? I'll text you the link. So I save the link to my survey in my phone. My survey is easy to remember, bossladies.com/subscribe, now that I've embedded it. But when it was just the link, I would just say, okay, well, you know, give me your phone number. I'll put in their number and I'll say, I'll text you a survey, fill it out, and I have some samples for you. And that way I have their phone number. I can follow up later, like, hey, how did you find the survey? Where, you know, if I see that they didn't fill it out, were you able to find it? Did everything work? So on and so forth. Millie says Google Documents and Sheets is great for collecting info. Absolutely. You're very welcome, Vicky. Milagro says she loves her Microsoft Office subscription. Well, the thing with Microsoft Office for me is that it's not free to everyone. It did come with my PC here, but I just bought a laptop the other day and it's not included as freemium. So I couldn't access my Google Sheets. So that's another reason why I was like, okay, well, Google Sheets it is. So sorry, Microsoft. Nita says she needs to know how to use QR codes. This isn't the live stream for that, but I will say that the learning curve on the QR codes, I feel like a lot of businesses use it and it's great to have, but I feel like if you're not using QR codes, it's not the end of the world. So Nita, you're not missing a whole lot, because at the end of the day, especially if your website is short and easy to remember or easy to write or say, that's why you always want to keep those things in mind when you're creating your website. You know, that it's not your first and last name and then 50 million numbers. It's a short phrase or something that people can remember, whether it's your website or your blog, or even your social media channel. I find with the QR code, sometimes it's easier to just tell a person, yeah, go to avon.com, as opposed to, here's my QR code. Take out your phone, scan it. Oh, wait, you don't have the scanner? Okay, go to their Google Play Store. Some phones, you know, for some people it happens automatically. Some people it doesn't. So, you know, test it out with your market. A lot of what I do is a result of what I've seen when I'm in the field. So I create something, I go out in the field, I test it. Test your stuff, guys. I go out in the field, I test it, I come back, I tweak it. The survey that I started, when I started it, it was literally first name, last name, phone number, and email address. And then I said, okay, no, I need to make first name and last name mandatory, because people would just put in a phone number and I wouldn't know who it was, where I met them, or anything. So, you know, as I started to test what I was doing, I started to filter it down and really get an idea for what what I needed to do. Vicky says embedding my link. What does that mean? So let me go back a little bit to our little survey. I will go back to the original survey, the form that we kind of created together. So we've created something together, guys. This is ours. So, so when I say embedding, how should I, okay, we'll do it this way. There are 2 ways that you can connect. Embedding is basically putting a connection to something inside of something else. So when I say embedding in my website, I have a website. This is my website, right? So inside of my website comes with pages, but this form wasn't created on my website. It was created in Google Forms. So in order to get it onto my website, I can either create a link. Links are what happen when you click something. So when I click this about, it'll link to a different page. So you can either do it by links. So you can use this link and you can link through to this form from another page, or you can embed it. So embedding is when I want this form to show up as a part of my page, sort of as if I cut out this form and glued it onto this sheet of paper. So now that form operates as a part of my blog, as if it was designed and created right here on my blog, but it's actually something else. And just a short tip, I could also have started out with this. If you if you're looking for Google Forms, you can actually just click Google Forms on anybody else's form. So you can click Google Forms on my form and it'll bring you to Google Forms so that you can create the form that we created. So FYI. But Vicky, does that? Yes, Marcia said that's great. Putting a link inside of a picture so that basically there are two ways that you can connect something. You can create a link. So all of these on my blog are links. I click these words and it brings me, for example, to my Avon website. But on this site, all of these things are links except for my video. This video I created and uploaded to YouTube, but it's embedded in my Avon page. This window isn't YouTube. It's actually just kind of glued on there. So when I click on this picture, it'll bring me to my YouTube channel where you can watch this video. You know, it's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically how embedding versus linking works. Awesome. You're very welcome, Vicky. So for me, that's it. I hope I covered all of your questions that you guys sent me. How to create the Google Forms, how to convert the Google form into a spreadsheet. And then I also shared some tips for not only what you can do with your Google form, but what you can do with the information that you gather from your form. Because you can gather all the information that you want, but if you don't do anything with it, then it's basically, you got a lot of names, you know? So run with the ideas for what you do with your contacts. There's so many different things you could do with the forms. As a matter of fact, even just doing this training with you guys and thinking about the forms I've created in the past, I'm thinking of all kinds of other things that I could do with my forms to create more engagement in my customer and team and contact base. So get creative with it. There's so much you could do. Vicky says, next class. Next class is up to you guys. You know, if you have something that you want to know, reach out to me and I take your questions. Whatever you guys are interested in learning, I'm not shy about sharing. I feel like there's enough potential out there for everybody to learn and grow together. And I think that, you know, the more we help each other, the more, you know, the rising tide raises all ships. That is my own personal belief. So if you have a question, let me know and I'll do a video. So next video is up to you guys. If you want, like I said, you can always shoot me an email, georgianapluslive@bossladies.com. Or if you watch this video and you learn something from it, please hit the like button down below, but also do not forget to hit subscribe so that you do see those videos that I continue to post and share, because you never know, it might be something that you didn't know you were missing in your life and it surprises you. But I also share some fun videos, product reviews, tips and tricks, random makeup videos. So if you guys want to join me for those, hit subscribe and you'll be alerted for all of those things. But I'm always happy to help answer your questions and have some community with you guys. So that's it for me for tonight. Thank you guys all for watching and joining me, participating. You guys all get a gold star for participating. Those of you who went to the survey and actually filled it out to help me show everyone that it does really work. Thank you. You guys are the real MVPs for tonight. Good job, everyone. But I will be back here next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. I do live stream every week, different topics, whether it's Q&A from you guys or product reviews of my favorites that I'm enjoying. You know, gift ideas, I do that here as well. Enjoy your week, guys, as well. So good to see you guys out here and working your businesses and, you know, looking to grow and do that personal development. So I'm so excited to be a part of that. So I will join you guys here next week, Tuesday, Eastern time, 8 p.m. That was all in all kinds of directions. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Join me here. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you as well. Have a great day.